Hello, everyone. Welcome to KUAW Radio. Jessica Lynn Speaks Life on Kansas City's global community radio station. We are so excited about this new year. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for tuning in live or later. Thank you so much. I am so excited about this new year. I'm even more excited about my guest. I just tickle myself. I still get the butterflies and all of that. So clearly my guest is my phenomenal husband.
Happy New Year. Glad to be here. Glad to be a part.
For those of you that do not know, this is my husband, Minister Kevin McClellan, and I am so excited about having him on the show today. It's a new year. Many people have New Year's resolutions. Many people have things that they want to do new in the new year, things that they want to receive in the new year. It's just a brand new slate for everyone. And so I'm just excited to share some thoughts, some ideas, some suggestions, some real life transparent talk with you, honey. I think it's a great year.
Absolutely.
Great way to start the new year.
Absolutely. I agree.
I'm just tickled. I don't know why I'm just so tickled. But yes, I am. I'm tickled. And so I'm excited that my husband is here with me today to share on the first Sunday of the new year, January 2nd, 2022. This is the year that we will be celebrating 25 years of marriage.
25 years. What a blessing.
Can't even believe
it's an honor. Yes, it is. I am so grateful. The word that I can think of when I think of 25 years of commitment and it's gratefulness, just being grateful. Grace and mercy. God's grace is so sufficient because I tell you, there's been many times that there's been challenges throughout the 25 years. In order for anyone to get anything out of what we're saying, we are going to keep it real. We're going to keep it real. We're going to keep it real because it's very important that we be transparent and to let everyone know, we are celebrating 25 years. We're not upset that we're together 25 years. We're celebrating 25 years for everything that God has done to keep us in these 25 years, because along the journey, there were many occasions where the marriage could have been severed for many reasons. And I'm speaking for me personally as a man. My wife had a chance on many occasions to walk away from the marriage. And all I can say to anyone listening is that any commitment or relationship with any type of longevity will never last without forgiveness. It will never last without forgiveness. And so relationships that last for long periods of time, they last because of forgiveness in that relationship. And so I'm grateful and I'm thankful. And so just glad to have lasted 25 years, and we just love each other. And we, like I said, it's been some challenges, but I tell you, I wouldn't trade it for anyone. I wouldn't trade it because in a journey of longevity like that, it creates maturity and it creates growth. And it's so easy to jump ship. It's so easy to jump ship. and the damage that causes, it just spreads like wildfire. And so with that being said, I'm thankful for our relationship. I'm thankful that we have grown as a couple. We've grown in our communication. We've grown in our prayer life. We've grown as individuals. And so people that have known me for years, I know without asking that they can probably see the growth and the difference in me. And it's only because of what my focus is on and where my focus is. And so I'm thankful.
Amen. Well, I'm clearly thankful, grateful, honored to be your wife of almost 25 years. We only knew each other for about 16 months when we actually said I do. And so I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful that you may not be perfect, but you're perfect for me.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we're actually not on today to talk about our marriage, but I really think that was a good prelude.
Yes, I agree.
A prelude. And when you're together that long, it's difficult not to talk about it. So we'll probably talk about it again or talk about us again. But in the interim, I really wanted to talk about, Kevin, how you have evolved into the creature that you are, fearfully and wonderfully made by God, and how you have accepted the call to minister. And also as a minister, I'd love for you to talk about, this being a new year and some of the ways and some of the things that you're incorporating in your life. We can talk about our word. We sat down yesterday on the first day of the year and talked about what our goals were and some of our aspirations, and a word that is going to carry us through the year. And my word is finish. I want to finish everything that I start and finish the hard things, get started and just finish, go to the end, finish strong. So my word is finish for the year. And I know what your word is, but I want want you to share your word and share a little bit about your word.
Okay, my word is discipline. Discipline is very important simply because we need to get things done when they need to be done. And without discipline, there's procrastination. There's a lot of other prices that we pay when there's no discipline. Discipline is extremely at the top of my heart and my list for this year, simply because with discipline, you can measure your growth. With discipline, you can see the differences between where you were, where you are, and where you're trying to go. And discipline allows you, also discipline for men, discipline will allow you to determine what's a lure or not, what's a trap or not, what you struggle with and what it looks like. Not necessarily what it feels like, but more so what it is that you're looking at. Because there are so many people that would get a counterfeit bill and not know it's that it's counterfeit, because they haven't looked long enough at a real dollar bill. I mean, that's what I'm saying, is that a lure is nothing but a trap. It's just a hidden trap. That's what a lure is. It's a hook dressed up. Mm. That's what a lure is. And so with discipline and discernment, it allows you to determine what's a lure and what's not. And so with discipline this year, I'm believing that discipline will give me the growth and the maturity necessary for God to continue to work in my life the way that He wants me, with the direction in which He wants me to go. And you see, I'm talking like this, right? You see my conversation is like this, and it's only like this because of what I immerse my mind in, opposed to what I, of course, yeah, opposed to the life that I had prior. You know, as men, we typically neglect those things that are in our best interest. We neglect the things that are in our best interest, and we put our priorities, put it like this, we devote our time to what we believe that works. We devote our time to what we believe that actually works, whether we get up and we have breakfast, whether we sit down, we read the journal, whether we go work out, whether we study we study on what we believe that works, which, and what works is what pays us. So, I mean, we may focus on our finances. We may focus on, on bills. We may focus on, all these other things, and pay close attention to what you put first in your life. When you're devoting that type of time every single day, and we devote what we believe in every single day, pay close attention to what you put first, because we kind of idolize how we prioritize in our lives. Meaning, if we're not putting God first, if we're not putting Him first, then He's not first. He can be second, third, or whatever, but He's not first in our lives. But the minute that there is a struggle in which we cannot get out of, we are going to want that response to be immediate. And so we have to pay close attention to how we live our lives and what we think about and what we put first, and how we devote our time, and how we, what we believe that's important to us, and when you read, when you immerse your mind in the Word, the things of this world become smaller and smaller and smaller. And what I mean by that is that I think it's great to work out. I think it's great to have a plan in life, to strategize, to have a business plan, to get that business plan accomplished. I think it's important to travel the world. I think it's important, to have great relationships, or have a great communication with your wife, and to build businesses, to start businesses, to run businesses, to work in different companies. I think that's an awesome thing. But on this side of the world, it's all sandcastles, meaning it will not last. So we cannot get caught up in the things that do not last. We have to pay close attention to those things that matter. And what matters is what you cannot control, and that is our lives. So what we have to focus on is more so life after death. And that is one of the number one things in the world that people do not focus on. They do not want to talk about, that they kind of push away from. And that is very important. The Word of God says it's better to go to funerals than concerts or any type of other activity. It's better to go to funerals. We do not know the day and hour. We're living in a time where life is not promised. We've lived in a time where life is not promised. We are reassured at this point right now in our lives that any day, any hour. So it's very important how we live. It's very important how we prioritize. How do we prioritize? We have to be disciplined to do it. You have to use discipline in order to prioritize the things that are important and the other things that needs to happen in your life.
So discipline is your word.
Yes, it is.
Tell me why you came up with that word, or how you came up with that word for yourself.
Well, how did I come up with discipline?
Mm-hmm.
I came up with discipline by looking in the mirror. If you look at your own life, if you look at what, in order to change anything in your life, you have to start with you. You can't start with what you don't like about someone else. You cannot start with the issues that life is showing you. You have to start with you. And the only thing that you can change is yourself. And how do you change yourself? There are components of changing yourself. And so discipline is in Galatians 5:23, self-control, self-discipline. God requires that because there's a price and so for that reason, that is why I chose self-discipline, because I believe that most men need self-discipline. They need self-control. I'm just saying.
Well, I love it. I love the transparency. I love that you shared that. And I'm sure that someone is going to hear that or is listening and is going to be blessed by that transparency. Because when you said, look in the mirror, that's one of the biggest things that people don't talk about. They talk about other people, but they don't talk about themselves. So I want to go into talking about yourself. What are some of your goals and plans for 2022 in specific areas? And so I want to talk about the F's. I want to talk about faith. We talked a lot about that already. So we kind of covered faith. If you want to say something else about it, you can. Food for 2022. Friendships, friends, and focus.
I talked a little bit about focus too.
Yeah,
but
you talked a little bit about
faith. Talked a little bit about focus.
Mm-hmm.
Food. Let's talk about food.
How'd you like your dinner, by the way?
Dinner was wonderful. Dinner, yes. She did a spectacular job. When it comes to food, that's a weakness of mine. So I mean, in all reality, moderation. I'm gonna say moderation. I'm not gonna tell you. Listen, for me personally, I'm speaking because of just my body and the way that my body reacts. High blood pressure is something I always try to keep down. So I cannot eat pork the way that I want to eat pork. So you got to use wisdom. You have to use wisdom. So there's certain foods that I do push away from that I do like, such as pork. Okay. There's not much else that but that's just me. That's just me.
But we're talking about just you.
Okay. So there are foods that I do watch, such foods that have that has a lot of salt, and sodium. I push away from. but I eat pretty much everything else. So
what advice could you give people about their food intake in 2022?
I would say personally, use wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Use wisdom, because the thing is this: there are people that have sugar diabetes. There's people that have high blood pressure. There's people that have cholesterol problems. There's people that have many, many issues. Take it to heart. Be serious about, what your doctor, if your doctor is stating that, there are certain things that you need to be aware of and walk away from and push back from. I would say take that to heart and start doing those things. And these are not easy things, recommendations. These are not easy things to actually accomplish, but they're necessary for life. They're necessary for us to have to carry the weight that we want to carry, and for our bodies to operate the way that they should. So believe me, I take him, I look at this as a serious issue, because there are so many people dying from so many different things. And it can be as small as just eating the wrong foods and simply not listening or not knowing. So know your body and take it serious.
Well, that's pretty simple. What about fitness with the food?
Equally as important.
Let me just say this.
Okay.
My husband has a beautiful gene of non-fat people in his life, non-fat. They're on both sides, his mom's side and his dad's side. No one is really just like his immediate family fat and obese or anything. So he got the gene of a high metabolism. I unfortunately did not get that gene. So I am the person that I want you to talk to, a person like me or a person's not like yourself that have that DNA where they're not naturally, they don't have to worry about weight too much in their family like yourself.
Right. I would say this. Honestly, it's not about weight. It's really not. It's not about weight. It's about feeling good about yourself, and it's about your body being not necessarily restored, but giving your body all the nutrients and everything that it needs. And when you listen, I believe that everyone should work out to a degree. It doesn't matter if you feel you don't need it, because maybe you don't look like you actually need it. There's people dying at any size. Let me just say that, there's arthritis at any size. And so it's equally as important for a physical workout as it is to eating the right foods. To me, they come together, they work together. And so I think it's very important that we work out, and it's very important and believe me, it's not an easy thing. Mm-hmm. It's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing for most. As a matter of fact, it can be some of the hardest things that we can do, but also the best thing.
But your word can help in that area.
Absolutely. I agree.
The word of discipline.
Right. Discipline.
And my word of finish. And so I would offer, what would you offer people, to help them in the areas of food and fitness, mixing discipline in for 2022? I mean, you can say it, but for me, I like to write stuff down.
Okay.
And so what would you say? What would you say that people need to do to incorporate food and fitness for 2022?
Get on a plan. Get on a plan. Make a plan. Stick to the plan. You have to be intentional. Mm-hmm. I say intentional living. Intentional living is what changes your life. Mm-hmm. Is you make a plan, you be intentional about it, and you don't change it. Mm-hmm.
That's so matter of fact.
It is matter of fact, because it's a matter of fact when it comes to change in anyone's life. You want change in your life? Get in the Word, stay in the Word, and don't get out of it. You want to see change? You want to see change. If you really want to see change, if you implement that, see, people will implement physical exercise. People will implement eating the right foods, having the right weight. People will think, they will believe that they're living the right or living their best life. But without the same implement in the Word of God, you're not going to finish strong. And the thing is that because we live this life not for just us. This life and these bodies, and we're trying to stay healthy. We need to be healthy for other people. That's good. We need to be healthy for other people. We need to be strong for other people. We're reading this word so that we can lift someone else up. We're living this life for someone else's life. That's why we're doing all of this. This is not for us. This life is not for us. And that's where we get confused in life, is that we get caught up. We get caught up. We get self-absorbed. Yes, take a vacation. Yes, eat something that you shouldn't eat once in a while. Stay focused. Stay focused. Understand the purpose. Understand your purpose. We don't understand the price and the value of speaking into somebody, changing somebody else's life. It's more important than our lives. That's why we're here. It's to give. We're here to give. What are you giving?
Let me ask you about purpose, because I know that many people that I have ran into have literally shared with me that they really don't know their purpose. And so what would you offer to someone who says, I don't know my purpose?
Well, I struggle. I struggle with that myself for many years, and I can really help you with that simply because there are so many people that do not know their purpose. And there's a very good reason why. If God is your creator and you're not in his word, the Holy Spirit will not reveal the gifts that God has given you. There are some gifts that you have automatically. There's a purpose. There's a purpose in everyone. There are some purposes to have platforms to speak to people. There's other purposes just to teach in school. There are so many different purposes of life. And when people say they don't understand or know their purpose, they're not looking deep enough within themselves. If you can talk to people, then you have a purpose, and that purpose is connected to talking to people. You may not know the exact purpose, but you do know that the gift of talking to people is what you do have. And so you have something to start with. So for those that believe that they don't have a purpose, look deeper within yourself. Look at the things that you're good at that doesn't take any work at all. It doesn't matter. You can be a person that knows numbers, that hasn't done anything with numbers, but you just know it. Okay? You're people that can encourage people. You can just encourage anyone. And without being encouraged yourself. Let me say that. You can encourage people without being encouraged yourself. That's a gift. That's a gift. And so you have to look deeper within yourself. And because I believe that every single person that walks the face of the earth has a purpose. And along with that purpose, there are many gifts. And in order to find out what those gifts are, you got to dig deep. You got to do your work. You got to do your work. And you have, listen, you got to read the word. You got to read the word. That's how you find what your gifts are. Your gifts will come out. It will come out of your relationship with Christ. That's what your relationship with Christ will reveal the gifts that you carry.
And your purpose.
And your purpose.
And so I always say that your purpose is directly connected to your passion. And that's kind of what you were saying, I believe, when you said, what is it that you're good at? I also say, what is it that you'll do for free?
Right.
That you're so good at and you love it so much that you'll do it for free. I believe that's a direct connection to your purpose.
Right.
I also believe that everything that you have survived is for purpose. Everything that you have survived is for purpose. Giving Hope and Help was created based on my personal life experiences, good and bad. And so everything, whether it be cancer, there is a purpose for that. If you're still here and you survive that, there's a purpose for you in that. And if you've lost someone to cancer, or if you've lost someone to COVID, or if you've lost someone, there is purpose for you in that. Honor your loved one with doing something in their honor. And so that's how Love Backs for Cancer was created. My niece battled cancer.
Right.
And I just think it's really paramount for people to look at things in a perspective, especially tragedies and things that happen that are so painful. It's perspective. It's perspective. The Chiefs didn't win tonight. And you mentioned something after that. The Chiefs lost, but you mentioned, and I'm going to paraphrase, if you will.
Sure.
Their bank accounts are losing. Perspective. Perspective, right? Perspective. So
point there.
Yes. And so we need to look at 2022. It's a brand new year. Things may have been great for you yesterday and today. You're starting off winning already, and it's great, and maybe not. But whatever it is, look at it with a different perspective to make it positive.
I agree.
Yeah.
And let me say this to you. I'll go back to your purpose is connected to your passion. For me, not always. Not always, because so many years ago, I felt God pulling on me, and I ran. It was just something, it was my purpose, but I did not want to walk it. I pushed away from it. I ran from it. I tried to basically, I did everything. I drank, smoked. I tried to do everything just to not surrender. And it did not work. And so there are those out there that your passion may not be connected to God's purpose for your life. Surrender. Surrender, because I tell you, and I surrendered. I just got to the point where you need clarity in your life. You have to look in the mirror. You have to start with yourself. I needed clarity at a point in my life. And I had to look at myself. I had to look at what I was not doing. I had to look at the things that I needed to work on. I needed to look at the things that I needed to surrender to. And with that, change came. And so for those that are struggling with not surrendering, you're going to be circling that mountain, because God's going to still be calling you, because he loves us so much. He's going to still continue to throw those lifelines. And so, and the purpose of it is to give. The purpose, the gift that God has given me was to give. And my wife has given based on her life's experiences, and I minister based on my life experiences. Give. We give. And so it's a blessing when you stop running. I'm telling you. And I was a track star, by the way. I ran fast.
I can attest to that.
Right.
I think it's important for you to have your word. And I also think it's important for you to have a mantra. And we have a mantra, and you've said it several times. And our mantra is to live to give. That's our mantra, to live to give. I want you to think about your word for 2022 and your mantra. I want you to think about asking your children for a word. What word are they going to incorporate for themselves to push them to their destiny, to push them to achieve? And I happen to be gifted this book, One Word That Will Change Your Life. And I read it yesterday. It's about 100 pages. And I'm telling you, I read it in under 2 hours. And it's paramount to help you discover what your word is. And you may not discover it when you finish reading the book. You may discover it the next day or even the next week. But it's paramount what's in this book. I think it's a great book to pick up. So One Word That Will Change Your Life. I love that. And I also thought about or want to bring back what you said. You said make a plan. So for 2022, make a plan.
Make a plan.
A daily plan on what you're going to do. Not just for others, but for yourself, because I have learned that giving hope and help is wonderful. But if I don't give to myself, I'm not going to be able to be here to give to others.
Correct.
So I have to take care of myself. And so I've created a plan for 2022. And day 2, I'm on it. And oftentimes by the end of January or even the 3rd week, most people have forgotten about their plan or fell off. And I believe one of the reasons that people fall off of their plan or, don't continue with it, oftentimes we do things in our own willpower. But if we do it in God's power, it'll last. And so I'm excited about my perspective going into 2022. It's not Jessica going to do it. It's God's going to do it through me. That's my perspective.
Amen. Yeah.
And one of the things that I've been doing for 11 years, this is 2022. So it has been 11 years. Since 2011, I've been reading this book, Daily Jesus Calling by Sarah Young. She has several different devotions. And this is one of my favorite. And my husband and I, we have our devotion time in the morning. And I read that. It's always on point. It's always on point. We have other books that we read as well. Build your library. Start, putting things in your spirit that is going to be an investment. We invest in the stock market. We invest in savings and money markets and things like that, and clothing. And, we invest in ourselves in stuff that's not going to last. Let's invest in our faith and spiritual man. So we've talked about faith, we talked about focus, we talked about fitness. Let's talk about forgiveness.
Forgiveness is
that's a big one.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one. You have to forgive to live, to really live. You must forgive. There's a group of men, we always talk all the time about forgiveness and the power of forgiveness. And it's wonderful to talk about forgiveness, but it's another thing to experience it when it comes in the form of somebody so close to you like Judas, or somebody, and Judas, of course, in the Bible, but someone within your direct family that hurts you, a family member or someone that's close to you that hurts you. It feels different, but it's not. It's not. We are required to love, and we are required to forgive. Not only the ones that we love, which is our family members, but also our enemies. Mm. And so it's extremely important. It's extremely important. If you want to thrive in life with a good heart, you must forgive. You have to forgive. Because if you don't forgive, listen, Satan knows it, and your attacks are going to come daily. And the thing is that you're going to walk around with so much weight on you of unforgiveness. It's not healthy. It's not even healthy to operate in that manner. And so,
and who is the forgiveness for?
The forgiveness is for yourself.
That's right. That's right.
The forgiveness is definitely for yourself. Mm-hmm. It's never for the person that you're forgiving. It's always for you.
That's good.
It's always for you. And that goes for relationships and marital relationships. You know, when you may not even feel you've done anything wrong. And sometimes you have to apologize.
Still working on that.
You still have to apologize. You still have to apologize and ask for forgiveness. Because tomorrow is another day. Yeah. That's another day. You don't even know what that day is going to bring. That's why you have to forgive for yesterday, is because tomorrow is totally different.
And it's a new year.
And it's a new year, and it's a new time, and it's a new day. And listen, let me tell you, it may be a new attack.
Oh, wow.
And so you do have to operate in forgiveness. And that goes for everyone. We have to learn to forgive. Forgive and forget. And people say the number one thing I hear.
You already know what you're going to say.
I forgive, but I don't forget. I forgive, but I don't forget.
And God drops.
Listen, let me tell you. Let me tell you. All I can say is just meditate on what you just said. Just meditate on what you just said. Because the thing is, I'm telling you, we would not be here having this show. Mm-hmm. There wouldn't be a radio show. As a matter of fact, there wouldn't be anybody living if God operated that way. Ooh. Forgive and forget, because yesterday is yesterday.
Wow.
And this goes for anyone listening that's harboring any type of hurt or pain from anyone that has done. You don't understand what they did, what God does. I don't have to understand. Forgive.
Wow.
Very important. Very important. We're living in a day and time. We don't have much time to make adjustments in our life. Mm-hmm. Spiritual, forgive. Forgive your neighbor. Mm-hmm. Forgive your friend. Forgive your father for not being there. Mm-hmm. Forgive that child that upset you. Forgive your brother that mistreated you. Forgive. Very important. Very important. For you is very important. For you.
And I believe it's just such a blessing out of forgiving, especially in relationships. Oh my God, in marriages, Man. I mean, wow. I mean, if two people want to stay together, they can make it regardless of what has happened.
Correct. Now, that's a mouthful to a lot of folks listening, probably. I don't know. But I mean, what I'm saying, what I'm saying is that, when it's difficult to forgive, or you base your forgiveness on what happens to you, that's how relationships end. And that's how relationships are severed. And because you feel like, I have every reason to sever it. I have a right to sever it. Look at what they've done. And the thing is that once you sever it, you're starting over with somebody you don't know. And believe me, everyone brings something to the table. Everyone's bringing something to the table. So you're just going to be you're going to be a severing person. You're going to be in and out, in and out. They did this to me, unforgivable. They did this, unforgivable.
Now, some things are biblically, it's okay to separate.
Absolutely.
So we don't want to put off that whatever happens to you, you can stay in that relationship.
Absolutely.
You can leave the relationship, but still forgive.
Correct. You can leave the relationship, but still forgive.
Yeah.
Because we certainly don't condone abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse. We don't condone any of that.
Financial
abuse, yeah. Any form of abuse, we don't condone, and we don't judge by the decisions that you make. What we do encourage you to do is walk in love and forgive. That's what we do. That's what we're asking, and that's the advice that we're giving.
And so forgiveness doesn't mean you have to stay.
No, it does not.
Doesn't mean you have to stay, but if you leave to be free from a person, you need to forgive to be free as well. Because if you're not forgiving, then you're still, I would say, trapped.
Absolutely.
Or in bondage.
Correct. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah. And so it's important to forgive. So we talked about, if you're just tuning in, you're tuned in to Jessica Lynn Speaks Life on KUAW Radio, Kansas City's global community radio station. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this with someone you never know who it may bless. We have talked about our words for this year. My husband Kevin's word is discipline. My word is finish for the year of 2022. We encourage you to get your word. Our mantra is we live to give. And we encourage you to create a family mantra, a personal mantra. And we've talked about faith. We've talked about focus. We've talked about forgiveness. We've talked about food. And now I want to talk about friends. Friends and fellowship. A lot of F's today.
Yes. I'll let you go first.
No, I want you to talk about friends. What is the importance of friends? So I'll just give a little background where I'm going. So yesterday we had a little powwow. We made a list of different people that we wanted to connect with, or different people that we wanted to spend time and fellowship with. And we created a list, and we created a list for you because men don't, they don't often get together like women. I mean, it's nothing for me to pick up the phone and I can shoot off names of 20, 25 women that I can call and say, hey girl, what's going on? Just checking in or whatever. But men oftentimes don't check in like that. And so we want to be intentional in 2022 with the male friendships. So that's kind of where I'm going with that.
Okay. It's very true. It's very true. Men typically will not. Men will come together. Men have come together on many occasions. Football, games, surface conversation, many other things draw men together. When you talk about transparency, conversations that are beneath the skin, that's when you kind of weed out most of the men. Because there's a lot of pain that comes with transparency. There's a lot of pain that comes with that. There's a lot of disappointment. There's a lot of separation. There's a lot of pain that comes with that. So vulnerability is huge, and so that's another reason why men they have a hard time with that. But the number one division maker is pride. Pride. Friendships are very, very important. True friendships, genuine friendships are extremely important. Because, I mean, you can run things by people that are close to you, and they'll only give you the truth. And you don't care how they give it to you. Sometimes you just need to hear some positive words, and so friendships are very important. So you have to be specific. You got to be specific, and you have to be, you got to make it a point. Genuine friendships are hard to come by. So, I mean, you can live your whole life and have 5 real friends in your entire life. Here we're over the age of 50, and sometimes genuine friendship for men, you can count on one hand. That's unfortunately, that is that's the reality of true friendship when it really comes to men. I think it's very, very important. Accountability is even more important. Accountability takes the cake. Every man needs accountability. This country, listen, for every man that's been in any high position in this country, listen, the fall of a man typically is always connected to the lack of accountability. That's, let's just keep it real here. It doesn't matter what you're doing, where you are, what platform you're on, what you're doing. Unfortunately, lack of accountability, you are allowed to get away. You feel like you want to do it. You don't have that strong support. And that's where it snowballs, and life will, and as long as you operate like that, life will always give you that line to choose, whether you're traveling for business or whatever it may be. You will always have an opportunity to hang yourself. For men, you will always get the opportunity to hang yourself.
You don't mean literally.
Not literally, but what I'm saying is that to make the wrong decisions that can start chaos within your family and everything that you had planned. It's all based on decisions, because true integrity, is unsupervised. True integrity is unsupervised, meaning when no one is around, that's where your character lies. That's where your true integrity comes out. The reason I'm speaking that is because of the life that I lived. I'm speaking only because I know me and I'm a man. And so with that being said, friendships are very important in the life of a man. Friendships are. Do you agree?
I 100% agree. And I just want to talk. We only have a couple minutes left. And so I just want you to share some of the ways that you're going to be intentional with your friendships your food, your fitness, your family, all of the F's. Starting with friendships.
Friendships.
Intentional.
Well, you make phone calls. You be intentional. You make phone calls. You set dates where you just kind of break bread. Hey man, touching bases with you. How you doing? How's everything going, man? What you do is you just touch bases with people. You see where people are. Hey, and let me tell you, by doing that, you have absolutely no. You know how you say, hey, man, how you doing in the store? Or, hey, good to see you, man. How's everything? Most of the time we expect to hear, oh, good. Man, everything's good. Mm-hmm. What if somebody tells you, man, life is not good at all? No, let's keep it real, man. Mm-hmm. What do you do? Because we expect that everything's good, man. Everything's great. What do you do when someone says, man, everything's not? Oh, man, I hate to hear that, man. I'll pray for you. If you ain't praying right then, you ain't praying. Mm. Listen, that's good. Stop. I'm just saying, I'm just keeping it real, man. Listen, because what happened is you got caught off guard because you're expecting a response, the typical response from, and, we have to live life intentionally. So, keeping in touch with friends, making dates, setting plans, getting together as brothers, breaking bread, iron sharpens iron when you do that. Mm. Do it intentionally. That's good. Yes. As for food and fitness, make a plan for yourself. Plan not to eat certain foods if you have certain things going on with you. Make certain that whatever plan that you start with, whether it be a diet or a workout, listen, self-discipline. Plan to finish what you start. Mm-hmm. Finish what you start.
That's good.
Finish what you start. The results, you'll be excited about the results. Mm-hmm. Most people that are never excited are those that do not finish.
And they do it in their own willpower. So, be intentional about the decisions that you make, the people that you have around you, the life that you plan before yourself as far as food or fitness. Have an intentional prayer life. First and foremost, be intentional about it. Yeah.
Be intentional about it. And don't set it as something to do because I got to do this. And then you act as if I just got to do it in this slot. I got to put it in this slot of time in my life. Listen, you can pray anywhere you go. Yeah. You have to be intentional about the prayer. You got to be intentional about who you're praying for. And you have to be serious about your prayer. Amen. Or don't pray. Because either it's real or it's not, or either, you have to be honest with yourself because the thing is that we understand that when it comes to food and fitness, if you ain't serious, you're going to fall off. Mm. It's the same with your prayer life.
That's good. That's good.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow. Ooh, we can pass the offering now. Listen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, honey.
You're welcome.
Thank you for asking me to marry you 25 years ago. Wow.
25 years.
It's pretty amazing.
Yes, it has been.
Actually, March the 13th, 1997, you asked me, and we were married July 19th, 1997.
I tell you, this woman, when I saw her for the first time, I tell you, Jessica, the world knows that she's a beautiful woman. She's a beautiful woman. And when I saw her, she's still beautiful.
Thank you, honey.
She's still beautiful. So beautiful inside out.
That's so sweet.
Yes. I love you, sweetheart.
I love you too.
All right.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Jessica Lynn Speaks Live. This is the first Sunday of 2020, and I am excited about it. Be intentional, be focused, use discipline, work on your faith, your food, your friendships, your family, forgiveness. We talked about a lot of F's today, and I'm so excited about it. Thank you for tuning in. I'll be back with a phenomenal guest on January the 16th from 5 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm looking forward to speaking life again. Talk to you then. Be blessed.